Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Zach, and today we are going to talk about the information that came out yesterday about the Indigo Disk. A couple of content creators and news sites got to play the game for a little bit to get a preview of what's going on. So we're going to talk about it, what information we learned about, and all that good stuff. If you guys enjoy this content, do not forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what was the most exciting thing you heard about this new information. And let's jump into it. So I'm going to focus mostly on Joe Merrick's Cerebee's information. So shout out to Cerebee and Joe Merrick. And him and mostly all the content creators brought up that almost everything is a double battle. So you are going to deal with like certain teams and strategies that like are common in double battles. So I mean, for VGC players, this isn't going to be too hard. You can just bring in a couple mons from a team, bring in a set of 4, and honestly, you should be good as long as they're at level 100. They said that like levels went from anywhere between like 70 to like 88, which is really good that they are giving us a challenge, and it's going to make it fun to play. Like, I'm honestly excited about that. The terrarium divided into 4 divisions. They said it was a little bigger than Kitakami, and there is going to be a wide variety of Pokemon, mostly Pokemon that are returning and not Pokemon that are usually Pokemon from Paldea. So like the newer Pokemon, the Gen 9 Pokemon. You're going to have things like Alolan Geodude and Tyrogue. Tyrogue is good because that means Hitmontop is going to be back. So we're going to have another Intimidate Fake Out user that is going to directly oppose Incineroar. So that's going to be exciting to see. And then a lot of mons that we knew about, like Alolan Executor, Doduo, all that good stuff. They talked about some of the missions and stuff, and Joe talked about a lot of the items being items that you picked up was more battle related. So rare candy, XP candy. I wonder if we're going to find like an array of competitive items. I wonder if there's going to be any new competitive items to come out. So that would be surprising. And one thing that I really liked is the Terra Shards. So he said that when he picked up some Terra Shards, usually like in Paldea and stuff, when you pick up Terra Shards, it's like 1 or 3, something like that. He said he picked up a Terra Rock Terra Shard item, and it was 18 Terra Shards. So that's going to be really good. That's going to cut down on the grinding that a lot of players have to do to change Terra types, because I mean, if you hit that 18 3 times, that's enough to change a Terra type. Now, is it going to be consistent? Like, are you going to get the same Terra Shards over and over again? Probably not, but like picking up 18 right off the bat, that's pretty good for like daily farming. They talked about the battles, Grassy Seed Whimsicott with grassy terrain, all that good stuff. And they said it was challenging. But so the next thing we want to talk about is the moves. So Joe said that he checked out some of the TMs, and we see moves like Expanding Force, Triple Axle, Skitter Smack, Meteor Beam, Breaking Swipes, Scorching Sands, Curse, Coaching, Electro Web, and more. I wish they would have listed off as many. He probably tried to list off as many as they can, but these ones are definitely the most interesting. And then there's also TMs for the move Upper Hand and Psychic Noise. Those were the new moves revealed at Worlds. And some new moves like Supercharged Cell and Hard Pressed. We don't find out anything about Supercharged Cell, which is a bummer because that's the one I want to know about. And Hard Press is a Steel type move that does more damage to the higher the opponent's hit points are. So the higher the opponent is, the healthier the opponent is, the more damage it's going to do. So that's pretty good. It's definitely going to be a situational use, because how often are you going to use it? It gets weaker as the game goes on. So I think most VGC players will probably choose to go for consistent unless it can do a lot of damage like right off the bat, and it's beneficial to take that risk of it doing less damage as the game goes on and as your opponents lose HP. But these TM moves, Expanding Force, move my head a little. Expanding Force coming back as a TM is really good because there were a lot of Pokemon that lost access to Expanding Force. Expanding Force had a pretty wide distribution when it first came out in Scarlet and Violet as an Isle of Armor move, tutor move. And I think for the most part, we've seen most of these moves come back already. Flip Turn, Dual Wing Beat were already in the game. They were just selective on like the distribution. Corrosive Gas is something as I believe Glamora had. We haven't seen Rising Voltage yet. We haven't seen Burning Jealousy or Lash Out. And then I think the last one, Scorching Sands is one of them, is Steel Roller. The only move, like Terrain Pulse, we could probably do without, and then Steel Roller. Maybe Misty Terrain, because those ones are focused more on the terrain, and those are very situational moves. Like Terrain Pulse just becomes like a normal, like weakened move. It's a base 50 power move, and it's just a normal type move. If there's no terrain on the field, the terrain changes it and doubles the power. So we could probably go without that. It was a very meh move. Steel Roller, it destroyed the terrain. Obviously now we have Ice Spinner. Ice Spinner is so much better because if there's no terrain on the field, Steel Roller will fail. So it's like one of those things like Hard Press where like you use it once and then after that it's either weakened or useless. In this case, it's useless. So I can't see Steel Roller coming back because in Dynamax, it was more useful because terrains got shifted quite a lot with Dynamax moves. Being able to change the terrain like Max Lightning and Max Grass. I forget the Max Grass one. But we don't see terrain shift that much, at least right now in the metagame. Our only electric terrain setters are for... The only electric terrain setters we have are Miraidon and Pincurchin. Miraidon not being allowed in VGC and Pincurchin being Pincurchin. So we don't see electric terrain too much. Really, the only thing we see is the psychic terrain with Indeedee and the grassy terrain with Rillaboom. So the other misty terrain can be set by Galarian Weezing. And I mean, if you're running Weezing, you're probably running Neutralizing Gas, right? So Steel Roller is kind of eh. But Triple Axle, really good. Scorching Sands, really good. Scorching Sands came back, right? Yes. And Curse being an interesting one, and Electro Webs, because these are two moves that like weren't Isle of Armor moves, so it's good to see them bringing a TM for them. But let's talk about each move and what they do and how they can affect the metagame, in all honesty. Let's start up with Expanding Force. Expanding Force is the one that everyone's been talking about. Like if you check Twitter, everyone was talking about how like Hatterene is back. And that's because with Expanding Force here, I already started thinking about it. Expanding Force got a lot of distribution. All these moves got a lot of distribution because there was basically one per type. So we see Calyrex getting access to this move. Galarian Articuno. Is Alakazam back? Will Alakazam be back? I don't know. Alakazam was a good use of it with Magic Guard and Life Orb with a high special attack. Very frail though. But yeah, you see a lot of Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon got Expanding Force. There was a good amount of usage. It was on the Slowbros. It was on Reuniclus. It was on Orbeetle. Basically, if you were Psychic type in Sword and Shield, you got access to Expanding Force. Now, if we look at who has Expanding Force in Regulation E, it is Armarouge and the Lake Trio. The Lake Trio having Levitate, they actually don't even benefit from it. They get the spread move, but they don't get the power boost because they're not grounded on the Psychic terrain. So this is one of those things where it affects the user, and that's how it deals the boost. And actually, I don't even think it would become a spread move. I don't know. Cerebi says just all users. So expanding force went really big to really small. And so there are definitely some Pokemon I think could really benefit from expanding force. And so the first one I can think of really is like for Farigiraf. Farigiraf getting another spread move on top of Hyper Voice would be really good, especially like being able to stop priority within itself. Then again, like you're usually not running Farigiraf and Indeedee on the same team because they both kind of fill that same role as a supportive Mon, a Trick Room setter that stops priority. And honestly, I think the one Mon that can benefit it from it the most is Monkey Dory, being a very strong special attacker here with a 130 special attack. You can put a Life Orb on it and do really well with it. And then I just saw it. Indeedee Male. So Indeedee Male is the counterpart to Indeedee Female, obviously, but it also sets Psychic Terrain as well. It's a hidden ability, but Indeedee Male is more focused on the hitting than the support. So this is more of the aggressive Mon. So what you would see a lot in Sword and Shield is either a Choice Spect or a Choice Scarf. So you can go Choice Scarf, just like max it out, and then do Expanding Force. You got your Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and then I think Trick. Yeah, Trick. So that could be something really good. We could see usage of Indeedee Male coming back now that, like, if it gets access to Expanding Force, which I could see it being decently good here with that speed tier, 161. You probably want to do something, just bring it down one. Yeah, hitting that 240 is really good. And then you just have like a little bit more to invest in bulk. Or if you want to do the opposite, like you can just go the max speed and go modest. You still hit that 247. So you'd still hit 220 at max speed. You're like losing a point here. Yeah, I do think that 1 point matters. What is 149? Yeah. You kind of need the timid. You can go timid. And honestly, if you really wanted to, you could just speed creep the Urshifu. But like if you're going to go the timid, like you might as well put as much investment as possible and just put the rest in bulk. But this could bring Indeedee Male back. I think the only other Pokemon that would benefit, like other than like the obvious like Hatterene and stuff, is the Monkey Dory. And Indeedee Male. I think this could be a chance for Indeedee Male, like an offensive Indeedee, to come back. Next up is Triple Axle. Now, Triple Axle is a really good move, and some Pokemon got it as like coverage. The only bad thing is that it hits 3 times, but each hit is its own accuracy check. So each time it hits, it's kind of like Pop Bomb, where you have a 10% chance to miss every single time. Now, it's not as big as Pop Bomb because Pop Bomb hits 10 times and this only hits 3, but you still only have like a 72% chance to hit all 3. But there were a couple of mons that like really benefit from it, like Alolan Sandslash, to have like a more aggressive like move that could break Focus Sash like that was really good for Alolan Sandslash. We haven't seen it be used that too often. And Serena was really good. So Triple Axle was really good against opposing Rillaboom. So Serena was there to kind of stop priority and to stop Rillaboom with its ability Queenly Majesty, which stops all priority moves. And honestly, like Triple Axle gave it really good like coverage that it could take advantage of with the Assault Vest. So then you could do something like Drop Kick, And then you can do like high jump kick and then squeeze like one more move onto here. Usually it's like play rough. So you get like really good coverage with like these amount of moves with a fighting type move, grass type move, a fairy type move, and an ice type move. And Serena was able to like hit hard with its 120 defense and then the assault vest, and you can like bulk it out. So it was like a really good supportive mon. And I think Serena, like other than the obvious like Chen Pao, like I think Serena could be good for those teams that want to stop priority but don't exactly need a Farigiraf. They want like something a little better. Like Serena fits that role with like the bulk that it has. It's a little bit faster, I believe. Yeah, it's 12 base points faster. So that's a decent amount. And it can also like deal good against like the Rillaboom and stuff like that. And now with Terastallization where you can remove a weakness, like I think giving Serena back triple Axel would be really good. Of course, a lot of people are gonna say Weavile, but like you're probably just gonna put it on Chen Pao instead. So Chen Pao's physical ice moves right now has been like Ice Spinner, which is what you run if you don't want terrain. But now that Rillaboom's in the DLC with Grassy Glide back, like, and especially with Ogerpon getting Grassy Glide, you want to keep the terrain up. Like most of the time, you want to use the terrain. It was bigger when Spam was the only thing really setting terrain, but now Chen Pao has kind of moved towards the Icicle Crash, which has 90% accuracy itself. So you get more base power because you're hitting with triple Axel. It's hitting like 20 base power 3 times. So 20 plus 20 plus 20 is 60, but like you have the chance to deal with. You have a chance to deal like multiple times and break Focus Sash. So that could be really good, but I do think if you're gonna go for the accurate move, probably just stick with Icicle Crash. We're gonna see people try it out, and it just depends on how much pressure it puts on with triple Axel, and can it still get knockouts versus Icicle Crash? Because like a lot of people like started going Icicle Crash over Ice Spinner before Rillaboom came into the format, not only just because of the Icicle Crash having a higher base power, but also like that 30% chance to flinch. So a lot of people were already moving over to Icicle Crash. So to deal with like the accuracy was the downside. So to deal with that accuracy like 3 times, like I don't know if it's going to be worth it on Chen Pao. So I think that Icicle Crash will still see more usage than triple Axel. Next up is Meteor Beam. Now Meteor Beam is a really unique one. It is 120 base power, so it's like a Hyper Beam. And this is kind of like how Archaludon's electric type move is, except you can't like skip the charge. Like Archaludon can skip the charge period in the rain. With this, it's a 2-turn attack, but you need a Power Herb if you want to skip it. And most Pokemon in Sword and Shield did that. Most Pokemon, as you see here, like we saw it a lot in Celesteela with a Power Herb. We saw it in Lunala with a Power Herb, and Eternatus with a Power Herb. So with these Mons, like with their special attacking stat, like getting the +1 is devastating. So there are some Pokemon that could like really benefit from that. And it had a wider distribution. Like the rock and the ground type moves had a wider distribution than just mostly the rocks and ground types. But like Glamora with the Meteor Beam would be really good. Like, because it's got that 130. What other rock types do we have? I always think Alolan Golem is, because it's electric type, I always think it's a special attacker. I see an Arcanine, probably not. Tyranitar, probably not. There are not a lot of rock special attackers. So I don't know. What about ground types? I can't see Blood Moon, Sandy Shocks getting it. Maybe Gastrodon. Give Gastrodon Meteor Beam. That'd be crazy. It does get Ancient Power. Like I said, I think Lamora would be the best. Mamoswine, not really. But yeah, Glamora with Meteor Beam. Glamora is the only like new mon I can see that can like really do a lot with it. Maybe Gastrodon, but Gastrodon didn't get it in Sword and Shield, so I can't see it getting it in Scarlet and Violet. Breaking Swipe, we've kind of already seen on like Roaring Moon and stuff. Like Breaking Swipe would, and Back Caliber, like that'd be pretty good, but I don't think there's any like new mons that like would really use it too well. I forget, there was one mon that like benefited from it. I'm thinking weakness policy, brutal swing, like Metagross or something like that. So like the Breaking Swipe, like the mons that already have, like that are already using it, are the ones that want to have it. Scorching Sand though, like Scorching Sand is a really good move where the user throws sand on the target, and this may also leave the target with a burn. So you have a 30% chance of burn. So this is basically like ground type Scald. Now the bad side about it is that it is a special move, and as we saw, there weren't a lot of ground and special Pokemon that like took advantage of the Scorching Sands. In Sword and Shield, we kind of saw it on Charizard mainly as a G-Max Max Quake that helped cover up some type matchups and gave it a much needed like special defense boost. Well, let's see who else had Scorching Sands. Groudon, like we got the legendaries and stuff. Arcanine maybe. Scorching Sand was one of those weird ones where it was the ground type move, but they gave it to a lot of fire types because it had the capability to burn. Colossal had it. Entei maybe, if Entei comes back. Now who are the special attackers here? Reshiram, Heatran. Heatran with Scorching Sand. Is Earth Power stronger? Earth Power is so much stronger. The 30% chance to burn isn't worth it for Heatran there. Yeah, once again, this is tough, and this is probably why they gave it to some fire Pokemon. That it didn't have the capability to deal with it. Like, it didn't have, like, the special attack to deal with it. Maybe Magmortar having it, if you want to use Magmortar in VGC, like, that'd be a good coverage move for Magmortar. And you still get a chance to burn. But other than that, like, it's not really that good. Maybe Palossand. Palossand with its high, like, physical defense, like, that would actually be good. But once again, is there any, like, ground or, like, new ground or fire types that would, like... Ooh, Skeledirge. Skeledirge with maybe Iron Moth? Skeledirge, I think, could do pretty well. The only thing is with, like, Skeledirge, like, the sets that we did see were, like, Torch Song, Shadow Ball, and then it would have, like, a recovery. What recovery did it have? Slack Off. It had Slack Off. So, like, it would do well, like, having the Scorching Sands. But then, like, what do? Do you get rid of Slack Off, or do you get rid of Protect? Because most people ran Skeledirge, like, bulked out. But, like, I do think that, like, Skeledirge could actually benefit from Scorching Sands there. Because like, Torch Song doesn't have the chance to burn. And so to have, like, a fire type, to give a fire type, like, an extra chance to burn. Let's see what else. What other special attackers? Iron Moth, I think that'd be a little bit, like, overkill for Iron Moth. I can see Typhlosion getting it. If Charizard got it, then Typhlosion's probably going to get it. Hisuian Arcanine, but what are you getting rid of in its moveset? That's about it for the fire type. So what about a ground type? Oh, ground type. this is what I want to talk about. Imagine Ursaluna Blood Moon. Any of these three up here. Ursaluna Blood Moon, Sandy Shocks, and Landorus having Scorching Sand. Like, I feel like that would be really good. Especially with Sheer Force. Like, Landorus does get Earth Power, right? The Earth Power would be good with, like, Sheer Force. Yeah, once again, Earth Power is just better. Like Scorching Sand is, for most of the mons that are using it, that you want to attack it on, it wouldn't be as useful as, you know, Ursaluna's got a pretty decent defense. So, like, Earth Power over Scorching Sands. Like, you could get away with the Scorching Sands, but, like, the Earth Power, like, being able to weaken it to special defense, like, that could help you break down, like, walls and stuff that you want to hit with Ursaluna Blood Moon. I think give it to these three. These three need Scorching Sands. Not Gastrodon. Gastrodon doesn't need another chance for RNG. Curse, Coaching, Electro Web. I mean, Curse. Does Curse already have a low distribution? I mean, a lot of mons get Curse. I think making it as a TM like is not that big of a deal. Coaching is probably not going to get used as much because the best mon to have coaching on was Rioli. And what made Rioli really good was Prankster and then Copycat. So what you would do is turn one, you'd Dynamax, and then when you Dynamax, Trick Room would become Max Guard. So you would Max Guard and get the priority up, and then you would, with Rioli, you would Copycat, and then you would Copycat that Protect, which is actually Trick Room, so Rioli would Trick Room, and that was like the easiest way, like sometimes, to get Trick Room up. The only thing you had to do to stop it, in all honesty, was to click a move that had like a +1 priority. +1 priority is in a lot of places now, especially in this metagame. Like, think of Dragonite, think of Rillaboom, think of Aqua Jet, think of Sucker Punch. Like, there's a lot of priority moves here. So if you're clicking those priority moves, like, you have a chance to just stop. You had a chance to stop, like, those moves. But now that Rioli is not that useful, because why would you have this Prankster mon when there are so many other better Prankster mons? Like, Rioli was just there for, like, coaching. There was like you ran like coaching, fake out, and then like Copycat. And that's about it. That was about all for Rioli. I feel like there's just so many better Prankster mons, and Copycat not being as good this time around, like, it's not gonna work. But there are some other mons that get coaching as well. There's Zamazenta Crown. Galarian Zapdos was another big one. You would see Galarian Zapdos use coaching every now and then. Hitmontop occasionally ran coaching. But I really can't see like any other mon that would want to fit coaching in its moveset that's coming to Paldea or is already there. What mons do I think could use coaching? It was mostly just fighting types. Like Annihilate, you don't want coaching. Gallade, maybe. Yeah, I really can't see anything that would want to add coaching to support its teammate that would benefit it from it. And that's the thing, like, you really don't see support of like fighting type Pokemon. Like, the most you're gonna get is like a helping hand here and there, or like fake out support. Electro Webs, there's already Electro Webs, and that's about it. I just want to know what Supercharged Cell is. I'm assuming it's an electric type move, and the fact that there's a electric type move that we haven't seen yet, and that would be, that's not Raging Bolt's new move, is it? I don't know. But anyways, that's it. That's me talking about what we learned from the Indigo Disk and what we learned about these DLC moves coming back and what Pokemon I think could really benefit from it. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I missing something? Let me know all those things. Either way, that's going to be all. If you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Till next time, I'm Zach, and we'll see everyone later.